welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Friday edition. I'm Adolph Mongo. Allan Lengel is missing in action for a second show. He'll be back tomorrow. Anyway, good evening, Jim Nardone, police enforcement expert.
Good evening. Happy, it's Friday, right?
Yeah, it's Friday.
Yeah.
You can't wait to hang out and what's happening in Trenton? Where the hot spots at?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm inside the house, and my day started early, and it's going to end early, I hope.
You don't go to that barbecue place across from Johnny's?
I haven't been in a little while. No, I have not.
They
I've
got
got podcasts in the morning. I got to get up early and get down to the Guardian building. That's,
Okay. Well, Attorney Vanessa Moss, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good evening. Good evening, Adolph, Jim, Lady T, and good evening to On Purpose, Karen Winston, and Janet Overall. Thank you so much, and Stephanie Jackson. Thank you so much for joining Detroit in Black and White, the greatest show on these YouTube streets. If you are watching, you know what we want you to do. You know what we want you to do. If this is your first time joining us, what we're going to ask for you to is do this. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share, and tell all your people about the greatest show on these YouTube streets. You can catch us on all social media platforms. You can catch us on Wednesdays, 8:30 to 9:30, Friday, 8:30 to 9:30, and Saturday mornings from 10 to 11.
Okay, well, I'm going to start off, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on what I want to talk about. I was reading online the dedication of Dr. Sweet House, the famous case, 1925. They a historical designation, a park, a lot of things was happening. And I saw the mayor, Mike Duggan, get up and talk a lot of talk, said some good things. And I was just wondering, and I've been watching him the last month or so. I think the mayor has checked out. He got billboards all over the state. He's going places, trying to show up, support as an independent, and he has checked out of his duties as mayor. This is my opinion. The 375 project was put on hold. He never said a word. We had some scrapes downtown, crime, kids dying at an alarming rate. I'm not saying he's supposed to be at every crime scene or whatever, but he's never said one thing. And he never really talked about the schools. He talked about what they undone downtown. If somebody really cornered him and said you turned around Detroit, they need to ask him the tough questions. So I'm not mad at him,
right,
for wanting to be governor. All I'm gonna say this: resign, leave office, resign, run for governor full time, and go about your business of getting that support.
Okay, so two things. Number one, this is, and this is my opinion. Vanessa speaks for Vanessa. Listen, you guys, Colby, be quiet. I'm fur babysitting again, and she's acting up. So
you can put her on. She can be four.
Right, but this is his MO as far as I'm concerned. This wouldn't be the first. If he was to officially leave office before his time is up, this will be the first time that he's done that. He did that when he was in the Wayne County prosecutor's office. He did that when he was at the DMC. So this is what he does. But if he officially leaves, then the council president becomes the mayor. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, that's the way it is.
Okay, and so she would be the mayor for a couple of months, and then,
Well,
if
yeah, there's no question
look,
that
if the
it would
polls
put
are
her at
right,
a
she'll
good
be the mayor.
advantage.
Yeah, if the polls are right, then she would be the mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What do you
What do
think?
the polls? What do the polls have to do with it? She would be the mayor
Well,
until
said if
November,
we
until
believe
January.
I said if we believe the polls, then she would then be the incoming mayor for real. That's what I'm saying. If we
So
believe
she's
the
getting a
polls.
head start, is what you're suggesting.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely, she would be getting a head start.
And that's
And
what
I don't know how Detroiters feel about that, but if people are, and we have some of the most informed viewers, if people really looked at his career, they would know that, you know what, he'll leave, he'll cut and run and go to the next thing. And he
and
just spent a lot of time on his campaigning.
and on purpose, on purpose says she have a smooth transition, and he's on purpose is absolutely correct.
Yep.
There's no question about it. When had mayors resign? Well, we just recently had a mayor resign, and the council president became the mayor. That was Kenny Cockrell, but he lost in a special election to serve a full term. Jim, your take on this?
Well, if he steps aside, then that just gives her obviously an opportunity to take over now, which would probably help her in a general election. It would seem like it's an unfair advantage at this point to me.
Is politics unfair? Politics is not fair.
No, it is, but
people have done it before. Allies have stepped aside as being, somebody's heads up. I thought Debbie Stabenow should have stepped aside, and when she said she wasn't running, and let the governor pick somebody. And I thought that, well, maybe the governor picked Garland Gilchrist because she threw him under the bus and ran him over and disrespected him, but that's up to the person that controls that scenario. Duggan controls it.
So you're both.
People say Mary is going to be an extension of the Duggan administration. So if that's true, you can walk away and let her become mayor, and like On Purpose said, that's a smooth transition. All I'm saying is the guy has checked out mentally when it comes to running the city the way a mayor should run the city.
But listen, I think that he's not going to do it because he thinks that, Detroit is his stronghold. And like you said, he was at the event. It's like a ribbon cutting ceremony. He's going to make sure that he's at all those ceremonies. But I wonder if you guys, and I'm talking to you, Adolph, you, Jim, and our viewers, if you guys noticed when the young lady that had her family in the van and the 2 children passed away, and immediately in less than 24 hours, he did a press conference. And I felt like, okay, this is part of the whole thing of him running for governor for the state of Michigan. He didn't want it to look bad on his watch. Now he has like, you know what? I've taken care of that. I'm just going to show up at these places, shake hands, say what I have to say, look the way that I have to look. And, I'm out of here in a few months. That's what it appears to me. And maybe I'm wrong.
But that goes right back to him focusing on Detroit and Wayne County by trying to gain favor in these local communities. He needs to step outside of this area if he's going to be elected governor. I've said that before. I think people underestimate the Democratic candidate, perceived Democratic candidate. I probably underestimate the perceived Republican candidate, but if I wouldn't sleep on Jocelyn Benson, people can say whatever they want, but
I don't sleep on her either. Listen, I lived in the western part of Michigan, and I know what those people think about Detroit and southeastern Michigan. They lump them all together, say they get all the money. Lansing take care of those folks over there. They don't take care of us because I have seen the extreme poverty of rural Michigan where folks don't have heat and lights and whatever, but yet they vote against their interests, you know,
All
and
the time.
all
And
of yes.
But on purpose talks about Mr. Gilchrist, who I have a lot of respect for. He's in a terrible position. The current governor has almost ensured a loss for him, in my opinion.
He castrated him. He should have went rogue on her, and when she needed him for 2 terms, and just basically disrespect the guy. Uh, he's been loyal. He's smart. He has done everything that the governor asked him to do, and probably more. And yet, she could have, in a one-on-one meeting, say, I don't think you can win, and I'm not going to be out there stumping for you like you think I would do. But she didn't have to get out there and say, and no governor, lieutenant governor became won a race for governor. Well, Milligan inherited the spot because when Romney quit. But the bottom line is, you don't do that to somebody that's been your right hand for 8 years, and you throw them away.
Yeah.
Hey, Vanessa, you want to say hello to our friends before our first break?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You gonna do it, Jim, or you want me to do it?
I'd rather you do it.
Okay. Karen, Winston, hello. Janet, overall, good evening. Stephanie, Cynthia, Timothy, Janet, overall, says she was obedient. She shared, thank you. Muskegon, I don't know what Muskegon says, but Sam, good evening. Joe Cool, what's up? Tamika Bailey, she says she agreed with you. Adolph, on purpose, said bye-bye, Mike. Eric Brown, of Reality Strikes, Detroit and White Reality Strikes says evening and 375 project announcement is the biggest bait in which he's ever seen. He said it sounds like Dougie don't like what you're saying. Miss Sheila, good evening. She said people say he drained Detroit like everything else. Truthy Jill Sheridan, hey Jill. Timothy Squire Bay said Duggan has stopped doing his duty as a mayor. He needs to resign as mayor. Mary will love the smooth transition, according to On Purpose. Janet Saluk says, greetings. Muskegon says that Garland is the best candidate. Eric was just about to say that he said that she would be the de facto winner without an election in November. Talking about Mary Sheffield, Councilwoman Mary Sheffield. Edward A., good evening. Tamika Rainey says that Governor Gretchen Whitmer used Gilchrist. And Bridget Huff says it's sad because she thinks Garland is the best candidate. She says she didn't vote for Duggan and definitely will not be voting for him for governor.
Well,
I did want to pivot just a little bit before you shoot the commercial. You talk about how the mayor has not said anything about this crime wave. That's what you call it. But neither has the council. I'm not aware that the Detroit City Council president has said anything. And I would think that would be part of her campaign's, platform. So I find that very interesting. So we're going to hold him up to that. We need to hold her up as well as the other people that are on city council. As far as
she says she's a true champion of Detroit, a champion of what?
Okay, I'm just
champion of bullshit, of sound bites. We're gonna take a break and we're gonna come back.
Okay.
Continue the conversation, and then we're gonna wrap that up, and we're gonna go to Jim because he got some interesting take on something that's happening in our nation's capital.
Homeownership opportunities are rising in the city of Detroit, and there's a house out there that's right for you and your family. You don't even have to worry about credit or getting a loan. You can win a house for as little as $1,000 and pay for the renovation cost as you go. It all starts at buildingdetroit.org and the Detroit Land Bank Authority. Our auction and Own It Now programs offer a variety of houses in neighborhoods all over the city of Detroit. These homes are in desperate need of repair and new ownership. You can begin by going to our interactive map and detailed property listings to find the right fit for you. It won't be easy, and renovation costs are not cheap, but our compliance team is there every step of the way. We will help you track your progress and connect you with local discounts to save you more money. We have already sold more than 15,000 homes in the city of Detroit, and our inventory is shrinking fast, so you don't want to miss out on this wonderful opportunity. Start your home buying journey today by visiting buildingdetroit.org. Homeowners.
Okay, we're back. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I was just making a point that it seems to me that you're the front runner. You are the council president, Detroit City Council president. It just seems to me that that would be something that she definitely would be talking about, and use that as it is an issue. It really is an issue here in the city of Detroit. I would think that would be something that she'd be talking about.
Well, they're not talking about it like it doesn't exist. Okay, let's move on. Jim, you were talking about before we went on the air. One of the greatest attorney generals ever been appointed in the United States, Pam Bondi. And I mean, she's brilliant, second to none. What is she up to?
Well, first of all, if I'm going to start with this, Adolph interviewed Todd Bettison today about crime in Detroit, and it's going to be running. It was a videotape, and it'll be running up against this show and probably tomorrow morning, maybe after tomorrow's show. If you get a chance to view it, please view it. I think it was really a fascinating conversation. Todd Bettison is a guy that's committed. He's committed to doing the right thing in Detroit, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. Bettison. So Attorney General Bondi has this week appointed a gentleman by the name of Terry Cole. He is the chief of the Drug Enforcement Administration as the head administrator over the Washington, D.C. Police Agency. Now, the D.C. Attorney General, Schwab, I think his name, Brian Schwab, has said that Bondi's directive is unlawful. And I just like people to think about this for a minute. You know, the countries that have national police agencies are like China. Switzerland also does, and typically report these police agencies work for the political body, whoever the dictator may be or the president. And they're go back to World War II, before World War II, and Germany, the police agency, the national police of Germany, they worked for a guy named Adolf Hitler. So that gives me pause. Here's another interesting point about that. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but I will say this. Federal police agencies dabble in the criminal justice system. They are not the core of the criminal justice system. So a guy that's running the DEA, you could put 100 DEA cops, call them cops, agents, in Washington, D.C. They probably never responded to a shooting. They probably never responded to a stabbing, an industrial incident, a drunk driving crash. They're not police officers. That's why we have separation between our federal agencies and our local agencies. What does the DEA chief have to offer the D.C. Police Department? It's completely different. And it's scary to me that the Attorney General would appoint this gentleman as head administrator, so nothing can be done. Apparently, no policy can be done, no policy can be installed without the DEA chief. There is a lawsuit in place, but it doesn't matter who wins or loses. It does matter who wins or loses, but who is so naive that they think that a guy that investigates drug crimes and drug crimes only, could be homicides involved. There's a lot of things tied into it, but I've never seen a DEA agent in my almost 30 years of law enforcement go on a domestic violence call. So I think people underestimate the necessity of a local police agency and what somebody like Todd Bettison does for the community. You could install Todd Bettison over that chief of Washington, D.C., and he could do it. But I'm not sure a DEA chief would have any idea how to run a police agency.
Well, I guess they rescinded the appointment that shows you the dysfunctional government that we have in D.C. because it's like an opportunity to take control of something. When you got Capitol Police, Federal Police, FBI, CIA, ATF, you got them all there in D.C. and you got the D.C. Police Department. Man, I don't know how you can't. They've been living next to each other forever. And how did that get out of control when you got 800 vacancies in the police department and the money you cut, you could have bought and paid for new recruits and put them on the streets? You know, you've been to D.C. You know, half the buildings there are government buildings. You know, they protect them. It's the neighborhoods that's vulnerable, that people get hijacked, shot at, homeless people get beat up and stuff. With Trump saying he's gonna run the homeless out of DC, but yet just cut a program that housed the homeless in DC. Find them a place to stay. You can't do this and then say, well, they just taking up space and they embarrassed to look at them. So
And the point is, critical incidents happen every day in Detroit. The DEA doesn't respond to critical incidents.
Who they gonna call a DEA for domestic violence crisis?
Well, it could be any kind of crisis. Could be an industrial accident. Fire departments and police departments work and as Todd Bettison said today, again, I encourage people to read. He talked about federal law. He talked about his officers being embedded in federal task force. That's the way it's supposed to work. The chief invites the ATF in to work with his organization, and they collaborate. So I was part of a state police unit and also part of a Drug Enforcement Administration unit. They are administered by those federal agencies, but they're getting all their intelligence from the Detroit Police Department or the Flint Police Department or the Trenton Police Department. That's how they operate.
What is the DEA gonna do if the police say we on strike? We're not doing.
Yeah, that's my question. That's a great question.
We're not doing shit. So you put all your DEA agents out there and you patrol the streets and you answer the calls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
let me ask you guys this question because I want to make sure that I'm clear because I don't know. You know, as much as I read, I don't read every single day. So, is it correct that DC, what's going on in DC, the appointment of whoever it was, that has now been rescinded. However, you still have the federal agents still working there in DC in collaboration with the DC police. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, well, the feds are not leaving DC. They're there.
No, I know they're not going to leave, but I'm asking you, are they working in collaboration with the DC police?
They are.
At this point, yeah, they are. And I'm sure that the DC police are really happy in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm not a cop. That you got more people out on the street and stuff. But you know, it's how they got there.
But how does a federal officer handle a drunk driving crash when someone runs into a car and
you guys are talking about handling? I'm going to ask you, throw this question out here. What do you think the fact that the symbolism of it all, the fact that people know that they're there, do you think that will make a difference? Do you think that, because I mean, I'm thinking that it will. The other day we were talking, Jim, about the National Guard coming in. And I think their presence does or can make a difference. I do believe
it depends on where they send it. Listen, I was in Morocco, and there you got the government, federal police. They're walking around with semi-automatic weapons or automatic weapons. Depends on. I'm not an expert on what kind of weapons they have, but they patrol the streets and everything else. But that's a country that's them. You know,
And what I'm saying to you is this: if that was to happen here, I think that it would make a difference because I'm gonna tell you, I will feel it would be very unsettling for me, and I'm not out there committing crimes, but it would be unsettling to see somebody walking around the streets with that, whether or not the Detroit police actually does have the control, does have the intel and that kind of thing. The fact that you have that presence, I think, makes a difference.
But you're in a country that they worried about people blowing shit up. You drive it up to a hotel to check your car in, and they got 4 people putting stuff, checking to see if you got a bomb underneath your vehicle and everything else. So I see what they dealing with there.
And they all have a role. They all have a separate role. So on purpose said most people I contend are not okay with police everywhere. And I just want to make this point, which I made to the chief today when I just briefly had a conversation with him, is I think what people fail to understand, and Vanessa, you can expand on this with your the legal system. The community decides what the police do. I mean, that's a pretty broad statement, but the police only do what the community wants. And we talk about countries where there's no crime. We talked about that. Well, the police can come down and stop people from committing crime in Detroit tonight. The National Guard, on the other hand, Eric made a point about the National Guard. They have a very limited role in this. They're protecting federal buildings. And when you talk about ICE and the DEA and all these other organizations, they only enforce federal law. That was kind of the point I was trying to make. They don't write speeding tickets. You call 911, the DEA is not going to show up.
I get that. I mean, I think all of us get that, but I still think that the fact that their presence, I think it makes a difference. I talked to somebody today who said that they call her their AT. That's a very old term as far as I'm concerned, but they said that the AT called, and she may have been exaggerating, but she said that she feels safe walking outside. This is just a matter of a couple of days. And we see here, Eric is talking about, and I made a point the other day. Eric says that following initial objections and expressions of concern, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has seemingly adjusted her stance on the Trump administration's federal takeover of the city's police department.
But the area of D.C. is small enough for people to see the effect of what 800 National Guard can do. They're only coming in, but haven't we learned our lesson in places like Vietnam and Iran and Afghanistan? When you go in there and you're saying you're doing this to help folks and to keep them safe, and then you find out you don't know who's the bad person or who's the good person. 800 National Guard troops in Detroit is not going to do shit. It depends on where you put them at. You don't have enough military people to put in all the parts of the city to protect some of those folks that's living in those neighborhoods.
So Adolph, you're saying it's presentation.
Yes.
And that's basically what I'm saying.
Performance art.
And when you say it, Adolph, it depends on where you put them. I think that it's important for us to recognize that here in Detroit, a lot of these crimes, when we talk about these babies getting shot, they're at home, bullets flying everywhere, or they're at the park. These are in neighborhoods that, and I, of course, don't want to offend anybody, so I'm trying to look for the right adjective, but these are neighborhoods that it's a population that it's not a middle-class neighborhoods. A lot of the neighborhoods are not middle-class neighborhoods. And that is where I would think that if they were to do that, and I'm not implying that that's going to happen. We're just having a conversation.
If I was the mayor
in those neighborhoods.
If I was the mayor, the first place I crack down in the neighborhoods is the gas stations. If I got to close up 3/4 of those fuckers, I would. because they breed crime. They breed crime. They got people in there that encourage crime. They buy stolen goods. They sell drug paraphernalia. They sell loose cigarettes. They do all kind of shit, and then cry when people say, "Oh," they get mad at somebody and shoot somebody and say, "I'm defending myself," but they breed that shit because you can't even drive up sometimes. They got 3, 4 people standing out there. You can't tell me
there's some gas stations. I'm not going to stop. I'm just not
right. But
drive
you can't tell me they can't run those people away. They encourage it. Those are their customers because they come there every single day, and if we can't stop that, take your ass back where you live at and take that shit there. That would be my way of starting to start to
When you say
eradicate
take your
crime.
behind back where you came from, are you talking?
No, I didn't say where you came from. Where they live at right now.
Where they live. Okay, so where
Right.
they live? Are you saying that they don't live in the city?
No, because most of them moved out. I learned from a Chaldean friend of mine who says the Arabs own all the gas stations in Detroit. Chaldeans own them outside of Detroit and etc. You got to know the difference because people lump folks all together, and it's a culture thing, but you just can't come in somebody's neighborhood and it just let have it work. If you're gonna make some money, have a nice, safe environment. But and I'm not saying all the gas stations or party stores or liquor stores are breeding crime. You can tell the ones that try to work it with the community, but we got far too many that don't. That you keep driving, you got to try to make it across 8 Mile Road or down 4th Street, getting to Lincoln Park or somewhere because you don't want to take a chance. Somebody stick a gun in your back and take your car or shoot you just to be shooting.
So,
Hey, Vanessa,
yeah, I want to address something.
On Jill Sheridan's.
But one of the things that Karen said, and this is what I was thinking, you talk about these gas stations, and you didn't mention party stores, but I'm going to mention party stores. A lot of them have the green light, right? And those indicate that, in my mind, that means like they have some issues over here, some real issues. A lot of those places, I'm not going to stop. If I see the green light, I'm not stopping. But does that even have an impact? I would say
sometimes
That's the same as the National Guard to me. It's a temporary. When they first went in, everybody was nervous about the green light. That's almost like a temporary, like the National Guard. Oh boy, the National Guard are in D.C. We're all safe now. Nobody's any safer today than they were yesterday with the National
Guard. You know who is in the National Guard? They listen. They not regular Army. They weekend warriors. They just like you.
Well,
and
I'm not
me.
going to knock them for that.
No, I'm not knocking them. Listen, I was all part of that establishment. They don't train every day. It's not like they on a base and they train the weed out the enemy, the bad guys. So when you take a kid from Howell, Michigan, he in the National Guard, he already thinking, well, I'm in Detroit. He got negative thoughts anyway. People bring their biases to these places, and how do you manage it? When some shit go down, and some innocent bystander get killed or injured or whatever, all hell gonna break loose. It's a slippery slope.
Right.
I want to touch on Jill Sheridan, if we could, just for a second. She talked about criminalizing poverty is ugly. Being unhoused should not be met with excessive force. Well, Jill, nothing should be met with excessive force. But you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I am confused about the militarism of police agencies. I was never for that, right? On purpose is talking about the police same kind of thing. Don't trust the police for obvious reasons. I'm going to tell you this on purpose. Everybody has, again, I don't tell you you're wrong or you're right or I'm wrong, but my experience working at a federal task force with Detroit police officers, they were some of the finest police officers, and they were constitutional. They knew the law. They understood the law. They were good investigators. And I had a different experience. So I have to tell you that the people I worked with from the Detroit Police Department, world class.
So we have Joe Cool. He says there's not an emergency in D.C. The National Guard has no place in any American city. They're a military force. And then you have Bridget Huff, who talks about the green lights. And she said the green lights don't stop criminals. Basically, they're going to do what they want to do.
Green light.
And that goes back to the National Guard. It looks good for a minute, but what's really going on in the neighborhoods? The National Guard are not policing the neighborhoods of DC, protecting the federal.
That's what I'm saying. Unless you give them the order to shoot to kill and shit, you know, you got these young guys and women now. They just like us. I went into New Orleans during Katrina to write a story for one of the newspapers, and the National Guard was scared at night. I'm telling you, because people was holed up in hotels and stuff. They were scared to go in there unless they had a big police presence or federal troops come in. You know, they waiting on the feds to come in because you don't know what you was dealing with.
So answer this. You guys both answer this question to all our viewers. How is ICE going to clean up the District of Columbia? How is ICE
is picking up? ICE supposed to have been taking the dangerous criminals and arresting them and sending them back to their countries, etc. Instead, they taking people that cut lawns, people that's working every day, in food service, students, they taking them out of their schools. It's a failure. ICE, you put a mask on some failure of a person who couldn't make it otherwise. Put a uniform on him and a mask, he becomes Superman. That's ICE agents. That's what they did in Germany. You know, they got folks that was good at nothing. They became the police.
I'm not going to go that far, so yeah. I'm not going to. I don't buy all that, but personally,
yeah, a lot of bullies, or people that got beat up in high school become cops.
My only argument is ICE has a very limited role, and you just mentioned what their role is.
Trump, you know, they a terror group, according to some folks.
Well, okay, and the press, and some folks in the press, and the people that believe what some of the press is feeding them.
Right, Jim. I agree with you. What some of the press is feeding you. We talk about the press. We talk about the media. We've talked about how they cover what they want to cover, and they slant the story the way that they want to slant it. And we choose to believe what we want to believe. So, you know, I look at some of these stories and I'm looking at it sideways. You know, you don't know whether it's true or not. I just had a conversation with one of my friends. Both of you guys know her. And we were talking about an issue in the paper, and we both concluded, it was like, well, you know what? I don't know what I believe this story. So you can believe everything that you read. You know, I'm not there. I have not even the city of Detroit, and I'm not too far from Southwest Detroit. They say that the people of Southwest Detroit are very afraid of ICE and that kind of thing. I haven't witnessed it, so I don't know if it's true or not, but that is what I hear. And I don't know if they're rogue or if they're in fact doing their job, the job that they're charged to do. I have no idea.
And on purpose mentions Ayanna Jones, and may she rest in peace. That was tragic on purpose. We've talked about it before, and we both probably have a similar idea why that happened, and it was predictable.
We knew something was going to happen.
Go ahead.
Didn't they have cameras following the police?
Well, it was ugly, but it was predictable, and it's tragic, and it should have never happened. I'll say that. And there are other examples. There's plenty of examples on purpose. I'm not suggesting that's the only case. There's plenty of cases in Detroit over the last many years of policing that shouldn't have occurred, that was not constitutionally based, that was a criminal. But, you know, it's a big police agency, and it's unfortunate. That one should have never happened, and we know why it happened, and you know why it happened on purpose just as well as I do.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
All right.
DC is a laboratory right now for the Trump administration, because he's making threats that, well, I'm gonna send him and do this in all the other cities. I think we saw what happened in LA proved not to be a success.
Right.
You know, he not only did he send in the National Guard, he sent in the Marines,
Right.
which was and that I'm trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And so you go from DC, and then you say there's Baltimore right there, board in DC. You got Philly going right. You just going right up the highway. That I don't think it's gonna happen after 30 days or 40 days. He'll be on to something else.
So we have Joe Cool, who says poverty and being unhoused is seen as criminal by this administration. I will say that poverty and being unhoused go hand in hand, and I will say that we do make contact, and I'm sure, Jim, you have, as a former police officer. You know, criminality and poverty goes hand in hand, as well as, you know, being unhoused, that goes hand in hand, and it's really sad, but that is the reality that we live in. Deborah Harris said that she's glad that she said, Jim, she's glad that you gave the police you knew and work with, you know, the credit that they're due. Miss Sheila say Adolph is funny with the truth. Karen Winston says, then we had January 6th, and he was crickets. I think she's talking about the president of the United States. And
That made a mockery of the justice system.
Yeah. And plus, he pardoned them. But, you know, if they go to some of these red states, like Utah, Salt Lake City, you see, so that homeless took over areas there. Go to Phoenix, Arizona,
the Phoenix
and go to and visit the Capitol, and right before you can even walk in the parking lot or park, there's 2,000 or 3,000 homeless people living in tents. Go to Denver. Go to some of these places. Go to Maine. You could just
Minneapolis,
go
Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina.
You go to all these countries, counties in these states, and you see homelessness.
We have our own problem here in the city of Detroit.
Yeah, we do.
Listen,
but if you go to some of these other places, you say, "Damn, it ain't." I'm not saying it ain't bad, but you said it's out of control at places. We could go down to High Plaza, and you got 1,000 people laying in tents.
I was just getting ready to say, I do the Riverwalk. You have homeless, unhoused people all down, up and down the Riverwalk, lying on the benches. You go right over there at the bus stop or the bus station, right on Rosa Parks bus station. You see it. You definitely see it right there on Temple, near the Masonic Temple. There's a whole lot of people over there, a whole lot of people. So you see it, and you see it everywhere as you go throughout the city. But
you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it a crime, a felony. That was the old days where in England they put you in jail for not paying your bills or being broke.
Debtor's court, right?
We're going to take a break and come back and continue this conversation. Detroit in black and white.
Nearly 30,000 vacant lots all over the city of Detroit are for sale right now. That's right. Nearly 30,000 vacant lots are available now, starting at just $100. The lot next to your house or the lot down the street. Make it yours today in just a few simple clicks. Find out if it is available by visiting buildingdetroit.org. At the Detroit Land Bank Authority, side lots are just $100 and neighborhood lots sell for $250. You can apply and pay online today by visiting buildingdetroit.org. And if you don't see the lot you're looking for, call our offices. Our phone number is 313-974-6869. Again, that is 313-974-6869.
Okay, we're back.
We're back. Black and white. Hit that like, subscribe button. Join us tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Detroit in Black and White, YouTube, and all your social media platforms. Cynthia Burnett says she was 10 and she remembers seeing the National Guard rolling down my street in 67. It was unsettling then, and I certainly don't want to experience that feeling again. Eric says that Detroit, and he's talking about unhoused, Detroit pales in comparison to other cities. I don't doubt that, but I live here in the city of Detroit, and so I'm talking about what's going on in my neighborhood, in my city. So, I'm sure you're correct, Eric, but
I saw yesterday downtown there was a guy with Campus Marsh. He was in the street. He a big guy yelling, "I'm hungry! I'm hungry! I'm hungry!" I guess he was in front of Chipotle's. They called the police. State police came. Two cars. That
Oh, you said 2 police cars came?
Well, they didn't call the state police.
They didn't call them, but they was there. So what happened? The guy ran. They didn't even go chasing.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking to the people inside the restaurant. But then you walk past, go to back at Capital One Cafe. They had a woman on there blocking the entrance. Had a hand out, and then you go down the street. There's another. They controlled the corners yesterday. Must have been a good day.
They was out this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh! And as I was walking past, there was one guy. He was using all kinds of profanity. His pants was below his waist. And when I got up, close to him, "How you doing, young lady?" Now I hear him curse like a half a block. "How you doing, young lady?" I sped up. "I'm doing fine." I can't walk.
But you know what? But
he's probably harmless. Probably
harmless. You know what? Some of these people have issues. I was walking downtown, and I used to see this. There's one homeless guy. He's just out there panhandling and stuff. This is true. I found a crumbled up $50 bill. I say, and I saw him.
Uh-huh.
He never said a word to me ever. I gave him the $50. I said, and he looked at this and he said, "Sir, you know what you gave me?" He had a distinctive voice. I said, "I know what I gave you. It's like it was meant for me to give it to somebody." Right. I haven't seen him since. And this was a couple years ago. But I saw that as a sign. And then I look up and there's this guy. I say, well, somebody dropped it. Now he got it. And I say, I hope nobody takes it from him. Or he goes somewhere in a store and try to spend it, and they think he robbed somebody. You've been down. I've been down here long enough to get to know some people's names that you see all the time. Some of them are no longer with us. People feed them.
Right.
You know, go over to McShane's and Bob Roberts. He feeds a lot of them. There's no question, and he's not the only restaurant that do it. But then I see where folks are just, you can't even, if you catching a bus, you not don't want to sit on you can't sit on some of the benches because they got their clothes and everything else where they it's like they're home.
I don't want to ignore On Purpose's point. If one of you two, I'd be glad to say, said that asked mostly young black men who are stereotyped, profiled, and brutalized simply for being, I think he's talking about, by the police. I think it's better. There are pockets in this country where it's not better. I will agree with him that, but I think Detroit, I don't think the current police administration, if they knew people were being brutalized, would put up with it today. That's my opinion.
Well, we got a chief that's hands on in the community that goes out, and you know people like him because you know they can. He's one of them that can. He gives out his number, and he answers the calls. So, and I saw a video of a young guy. He got online and he said, "You don't want to mess with the Detroit police." He's talking about after that concert,
right?
Because they don't play
after the Chris Brown concert.
Yeah, he said they don't play. He said, but they wasn't beating up everybody or whatever. I was telling some people from out of town, they not like other cops. You know,
and I think Karen said something. I missed her point, but it was about who do you choose to police? And sadly, Karen, I think it was Karen. I'm trying to back up here a little bit.
It was Karen.
How do you choose what and who to police? Well, in a city like Detroit, in a big city, there's not that much. I won't say there's not proactive policing, but they're answering calls, right? They're answering a call when you call them. So who they choose to police generally is dictated by a 911 system and emergencies. So they don't have a lot of time to go out there and drive around neighborhoods and talk to kids like
whatever happened to the cop on the block? You know, don't have enough policemen to walk the neighborhoods, huh?
Well, and you have candidates, and I mean this past season, and I guess we'll continue to hear that from the two, but they all said we got to build up the neighborhoods and put police in the neighborhoods. I've heard that at least for the last 20 years. Let's see if it'll happen. But I want to address Jill Sheridan. Jill asked a question. She said, does anyone think that you have more people in prison is a deliberate moneymaker for private prison corporations? And I think Jill's question was answered by Eric. He said, of course, Jill, being poor, uneducated, and in prison is a multi-billion-dollar industry in America, and the beneficiaries are the privately run prisons. I will have to agree with Eric.
Well, you deal with it every day.
Absolutely.
As an attorney, so you know.
Yep, absolutely.
And I couldn't agree more with what On Purpose just said. The police are a reflection of society, and police are not the solution the community is. He's absolutely right. He's right. That's what it is.
Yeah. I do want to acknowledge Deborah Harris. Thank you for joining us Friday. Wednesday, she felt that our conversation was a bit too depressing, but she's back today, which means that she likes Detroit in black and white. So thank you for joining. She says the lack of affordable housing is a big part of the problem, but not the only one. A significant amount of the homeless population has additional problems that they need help with, such as trauma, abuse, debt, or medical issues, including addiction.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, absolutely. And she said, share your food with the hungry and give shelter to the homeless, give clothes to those who need them, and do not hide from relatives who need your help. And we have someone who says that we need to hopefully things will get better for everyone. And there was a comment earlier about all of us should have empathy and compassion for everybody, and because we all share this planet. I don't know who said it, but
Well, it's hard. It's hard to do that.
yeah.
It's hard to do that. In a perfect world, you can do that. But when people are struggling, just trying to survive, especially here in the city where people without water, people without lights and stuff. I remember volunteering in the holidays when I was working at a newspaper, and we we had names of family that needed some help, and me and another guy go over. We had a turkey, ham, and all some toys and stuff. And there, sat on the porch, with we bringing the food to this lady and her kids. She got two grown kids, and I'm not talking about the little kids. They're in their 20s, drinking beer and shit. I felt like, taking this shit and keep driving.
But you didn't, right?
And the person I was with said, "Man, you can't do that."
Right, you didn't.
I said, "This is, we feeding them. They shouldn't be able to eat. I'm sorry. You feed the kids and you feed it's like as soon as we dropped off, they went right in the house. Man. So,
but and I think that goes to your point of sometimes it's hard. I know one time I did, and I do this quite a bit, but one time in particular, I adopted a family for Christmas, and I go and drop the gifts off. They had a brand new flat screen television. It was a poster on the wall. The furniture was spanking brand new because you could smell the leather. And I'm like, wait a minute. I had, taken some money from gifting family members to gift these people, and I had to check myself and say, hey, you did it, you're doing it for the right reasons, and those children are gonna benefit, hopefully. Hopefully. But uh, situations like that does make it hard, but you just have to keep your eyes, or keep your heart in the right place, because that's what you're doing it for.
Well, it's just an embarrassment that we live in a place that we got a abundance of food and everything else, and we still got people that's suffering.
Right.
I'll go to you, Jim.
On purpose said it's the intent, not the glory, not the glory. And you're absolutely correct. I agree with you on purpose. Felicia Dean says, I say hello, Felicia Dean. That's my cousin. She says holidays are even harder. Uh, sadly but true. Uh, Sadly true, but the babies must eat, is what Karen Winston says.
No question. Well, Jim, your final thought?
I just want to thank everybody that participated tonight, everybody that saw the show live, everybody that's going to see it maybe in an hour or two or tomorrow afternoon. Thank you for viewing Detroit in Black and White. We appreciate you. Your perspectives are valuable, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Vanessa?
So what I'm going to ask for you guys to do. I want you to join us tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and tell your friends about us and hit that like button. I thank you. This evening, we were all over the place with the conversation, but we thank you guys for participating in the conversations. We're going to ask you to ask your friends to join us tomorrow morning. Detroit Black and White, the greatest show on these YouTube streets.
Yeah, and thank you, Teresa, and thank all folks that taking time out on a Friday night. I know you can be doing other things, hanging out, whatever. But thanks for
her baby watching like I am,
listening to us. You should have put what's the name of the dog?
Her name is Kobe. Kobe, come here.
And I don't want to see Kobe.
You do want to see Kobe? Come here. She probably mad at me because I told her she had to go, but here she come. Come on, say hi. Come on, say hi to everybody.
And our new co-host on Thursdays, Kobe. Well, anyway, we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, see ya.
See ya.